Ladies and gentlemen, I fat finger the intro video just for you. Welcome into Lightning Round. I am Kevin Tompkins, along with my compadres, Mr. Geary Haddow, Mr. Andrew Cooper, and tonight we are busting through the glass ceiling. Should I say, to be on brand, the glass table, as we start our divisional previews with BallBlast and football guys, Victoria, Geary, Victoria. How are you this evening?
So good. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so stoked to be talking AFC East, and I hope we're talking about my husband first, and that would be Josh Allen. But we'll take a look at the show sheet. I do have another husband. Josh is just my side piece.
So Linda, of course, has like 10 husbands, but she also claims Josh Allen as a husband. Do you guys share there, or how's that work out?
We do, yes. All the Sundays are for the girls' cast members. We all share many of them. So it's all good. We like to share in this family.
I'm going to leave it at that. So, before we get into our show tonight, be sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/lightning round. And then make sure you're also subscribed to us on Spotify, on Google, anywhere you get your podcasts. And then also our friends over at Viridian Global have Lightning Round merchandise, as well as Scott Fishbowl merchandise as well. Go over to viridianglobal.com and click on Football Collective to find our stuff here, like this beautiful hoodie here. If you purchase some of our gear, enter code Lightning Round, all one word, for 25% off of your purchase. Let's talk about the AFC East, ladies and gentlemen. Are we ready?
Ready.
All right. So let's get into your husband first, the Mr. Josh Allen, the consensus QB2. So at his ADP, which is looking to be anywhere between the end of the third into the fifth round, are you taking Josh Allen in redraft at that ADP, Victoria?
I love this question. I was looking earlier, and he is going a little high for my liking, right? Because other guys going in that range that you can grab are Chris Carson, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, CeeDee Lamb. There's still so much value there on the board that it's tough for me to say I'm going to have a ton of Josh Allen shares. It hurts my soul because I want to root for him on my fantasy team and my actual team, right? But there's just so much other value to be had at other positions that I'm not sure I want to take a shot. Also, he was QB1 last year. It's very, very, very hard to replicate another QB1 performance. I think only Drew Brees has done that in history. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Drew Brees that had back-to-back QB1 years back in the day. So it's just you're taking a chance on him having that same electric performance from last year, though I still think he'll be a top 5 quarterback when all is said and done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on the QB things, the QB1s. And if you notice that it's not even because the QB himself regresses, we've seen it multiple times in the past where a guy like Peyton Manning, for instance, throws 50 touchdown passes on the Colts, or I think it was like 48. The very next year, the team was actually better, which they went from winning 12 games to winning 14 games. But because the defense got a little better, the team overall got a little better, they didn't throw the ball as much. So same thing with Mahomes. 50 touchdown passes. The very next year, they win 12 games. The very next year, they win 14 games. The team gets better and not as good. So, it's not even just that Josh Allen has to be amazing again, but that the team could be better and that he just might not need to throw as much,
Geary, you might be muted, brother.
Yeah, you're muted, Geary.
That's what happens when you sneeze. I can't imagine that defense, even if it gets better, like what's that offense going to do? Like Josh Allen's that offense. Like it's not like, spoiler alert, we're going to get into running backs right in a sec. And like, there's nothing there. Like as much as I like them, maybe for fantasy is like a deep dart throw. Everything's going to run through Allen. I think he just feels like such a safe bet at the quarterback position, even if he is going super high.
Yeah, he is a pretty safe bet, but then you're also banking on, everything that happened last year, everything to fall into place perfectly for Josh Allen to be, that QB1, QB2. You're going to be drafting him as the QB2 more than likely. We've seen. We may have seen the best of Stephon Diggs. We'll talk about him too. Now there are more weapons there now, and we will talk about that.
How dare
and We just got canceled by Victoria. No, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like Josh Allen right now. He's basically the RB1 in that offense too. So, yeah, just that ADP, I don't know about it with, in that area, you have so many wide receivers. You have the last of like the palatable running backs. We mentioned Chris Carson, guys like that. So, it's a bit tricky, but it all depends on, what you've built previous to where you can take Josh Allen. So it's roster construction dependent, but I don't mind it. Just not that big of a fan of Josh Allen, especially at the end of the third.
Yeah, high price.
Yeah, I mean, in Superflex, I'm more willing to draft a high-end QB. It's like in that situation, yeah, of course, but in one QB, I don't know if I'm willing to pay that much. So I'm kind of with you there, Victoria. I'd rather wait and see if I can find this year's Josh Allen a little bit later,
Uh-oh. We won't be talking about him because it's the AFC East, so.
Yeah, true story. Unless it's later, could be, but probably not. So moving on to Stephon Diggs, we saw him just absolutely light it up and, show a strong rapport with Josh Allen. Can he be that overall wide receiver one?
He definitely has the potential to. He led the league in receptions last year, which obviously helped with his amazing consistency he had from week to week. He was a very consistent option for you if you had him on your roster. I originally was thinking, you know what, maybe I'll rank Diggs my wide receiver one for PPR. I had him and then I couldn't do it. I think he's at my wide receiver 3 right now. I'm trying not to be biased, whether it's for, being a homer for the Bills or just being biased for my guys. I'm trying to keep an unbiased mind. So I think I moved him down to 3. He definitely has the potential to, though. He's still gonna lead the team in everything. I know Beasley's still there, but Gabe Davis isn't going to take over. Sanders he's just a depth piece. Diggs is that guy in Buffalo. So. Oh, no, sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I know you're laughing about Sanders. He's a phenomenal route runner, one of the best to do it, but depth.
Yeah. I think Diggs has just as good a shot as any of the guys at this point. I mean, especially if Aaron Rodgers they don't figure that situation out. Like, if Aaron Rodgers is there, I think Devontae Adams has to be my number 1, but after that, you have Julio coming in. The Cardinals now have more options in the passing game there. It's like it's kind of hard to pinpoint just a guy you think is like the guy that is definitely going to be the wide receiver 1. So I don't see why he's not in the conversation. I don't know, Gary. What do you think?
I mean, I would. He is my favorite wide receiver at the top to finish as wide receiver 1. So I'm always happy to take him as wide receiver 3 or 4 off the board. Like you said, Devontae is going to be number 1. I think Tyreek Hill, he's obviously shown that he's not who we thought he was when he was just like yo-yoing back and forth every game. But Diggs, 166 targets is quite a lot. However, 8 touchdowns, doesn't that feel really low?
Yes.
For 166 targets, 127 receptions?
Absolutely.
That goes up 2 or 3 potentially. You would think double digits for such an elite player, you would get there. All of a sudden, you are battling it out at the end of the season for wide receiver 1 overall.
I think last year, didn't he have 3 in week 16, championship week? So it's like it almost, on one hand, he didn't feel like the wide receiver 1 throughout the year. But on the other hand, when he scored all those points championship week, if you owned him, he definitely felt like the wide receiver 1 to you, I had
95 yards a game is tough, man. It's hard to say that guy was not just awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely fair question here from JB. Better rapper, Cole Beasley or Andrew Fuller?
I don't know. 80 Stings is a hot track if you haven't listened to it. Cole Beasley's got some. I'm not even kidding. Cole Beasley might be the best athlete rapper out there. So check that out.
Definitely better than Le'Veon Bell. We'll put it that way.
Easily.
I can't rap, and I'm better than Le'Veon Bell. So I will be completely honest. So let's talk about those wide receivers, the other ones. Let's plan our flag on one Buffalo Bills secondary receiver between Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis, and Emmanuel Sanders. And Victoria, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Gotta be Beasley, guys. He's a PPR monster, and he had a career year last season. Number 1 slot receiver in the entire league. He had just under 1,000 yards, I think, including playoffs. So he played on a broken fibula at the end of the year. Jesus, I don't know how this guy gets his maybe it's from the wrapping. He gets his strength there, but it's gotta be Beast. He's still going to be the number 2. I think Gabriel Davis will emerge a little bit more than he did last year. He had 599 yards, I think 7 touchdowns, which is a great point, Gary, that you brought up, that Diggs only had 8. Gabe Davis had 7. So I do love Gabe for redraft, though. I'm not reaching for him or anything like that. I'm not here to tell you he's going to be a wide receiver 2 or anything like that. But Beasley for PPR would be the safest bet there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if people have heard this story, but Cole Beasley, when he was first on the Cowboys, actually walked away during OTAs. The very beginning of the season, he had like an open tryout, signed as an undrafted free agent, walked away, and they called him up and they were like, if you want to come back, we'll forget that you missed the last couple of days, and he ended up going back and making the team. So he was like this close to not playing football at all. Yeah, check that story out.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, it's a good heart story. So I say that only to say, I think it is going to be Emmanuel Sanders.
Whoa!
Yeah, and the thing with Emmanuel Sanders for me is that last year, you look at what they did. They had John Brown playing 80 to 90% of the snaps when he was healthy, right? And they basically took Beasley and Gabriel Davis. They rotated them in the slot, and then they used 20% of their snaps for 4 wide, right? So Davis ended up being out there anyway, a lot of the snaps. John Brown was owed $10 million, right? And they could basically release him, or I think it was like around 9. They could release him and only have 1.7 in dead cap, right? They released John Brown, and he went and signed for like 3.75 million. So they could have, I'm sure they reached out to him and were like, hey, you want to take like 5 million, or something in that range. And, if he didn't take it, his agent should be fired immediately out of a cannon into the sun, So when you look at what they ended up doing, they paid Emmanuel Sanders $6 million. So they were going to pay John Brown $9 million, a guy they had playing almost all the snaps. And instead they ate 1.7 and gave $6 million to Sanders, which is almost the $8 million they're going to pay John Brown anyway. So I think when them bringing in Emmanuel Sanders, they're saying, okay, we like what John Brown did. We think this guy can do it better. So I honestly think that Emmanuel Sanders is coming in not to be a $8 million overall depth piece, but to be a better flanker on the outside than what John Brown was. So I'm willing to give him a shot. If he ends up being bad, then the Bills wasted a lot of money.
Gary?
I think he'll be bad.
I think he's a good locker room guy. Like, he's just been on good teams that have gone very far. And I mean, how high were we on him to be the wide receiver 2 for the Saints last year? It was last year, right, man?
The second pass catcher on that team was always going to be Alvin Kamara.
So he's going to be the number 4, because I think that Diggs, of course, then I think Beasley, I think Davis. I think that they brought in Sanders to be what John Brown was going to be, and John Brown was going to slot in as their 4 personally. I just think Gabriel Davis was awesome. Like, I don't want to give like a cop-out answer of Beasley PPR. Davis is going to be my best ball guy that I would rather target. But I think that I would rather go for the upside at that level, at that far in the draft to take Davis, whereas Beasley is going to be a guy. If I go like 0 wide receiver, Beasley is going to be on every one of my teams.
I mean, I just look at Gabriel Davis, and it's like John Brown was playing 90% of the snaps. He got hurt. Gabe Davis had a big game when John Brown was out. And then when John Brown came back, Gabe Davis went right back to the bench. John Brown was playing 80, 90% of the snaps again. And had they loved Gabe Davis, why not just go out and sign somebody for the veteran minimum, or like $3 million, or like why throw all this money at this guy?
They did try to get Sanders the year before. They were in on him the year before and couldn't sign him, couldn't get him to come, whatever the case was. But they were in on him the year before as well. I think they just love his vet presence is important in the locker room. So
I feel like we're doing Isaiah McKenzie super dirty. That dude is a DFS darling for those 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I love him. Love Kent.
I will just say JB is absolutely right, because Coop was Sanders and I am in on Gabe Davis. I can see him, completely expanding his route tree. Per reception perception, Matt Harmon, his success by route, his 9 route, about 70% success rate on that. He did work on his corner route, flat route, slant and curls. He still has to work on some of the routes there. He was basically a deep guy last year, and with an aggressive quarterback like Josh Allen, that's certainly going to work into his favor. Now, if you can expand on that root tree a little bit more and make him more of a complete player, then you've got somebody next to Diggs who you have to absolutely account for. Beasley certainly has his role. I do like him, and I will take him. If the value falls to me, Emmanuel Sanders, I've taken in a lot of best balls because, honestly, I'm hedging my bets. They didn't bring Emmanuel Sanders to sit on the bench and only run a few routes. That's not going to happen. So, but Gabe Davis, I think he has a chance to kind of assert himself more than the other two. We know how old, Cole Beasley is getting a little bit long in the tooth, and so is Emmanuel Sanders. I believe he's 34. So he's the future at the position. If he asserts himself, then I think, this guy's a limit for him with Diggs on the other side.
So we think 3 out of 4 of us believe that Gabriel Davis is going to be the best 4th-round wide receiver of the decade, assuming he can be better than Jamison Crowder or Kiki Kuti.
Yes.
There it is. Bold take.
I sense the
best.
When you say of the decade, are you honestly saying in the last year?
He's saying
the last 10 years.
He's throwing sarcastic
the last 10 years.
out here.
The last 10 years, the best 4th-round wide receivers have been Jamison Crowder, Kiki Kuti, and I think those are the best ones.
He gets to combine both of those skills, man. He gets to stay healthy and gets to be.
He's 10 years younger than Beasley and 12 years younger than Sanders. If he can't beat out Sanders, then he isn't what we think he is, right? But you're not spending in redraft a ton of capital on them, so why not? He's a great late round dart throw.
Yeah,
I actually feel that same way about Sanders, though. I feel like he is a super awesome late round, and every time whenever I've drafted him in all sorts of leagues, they're like, "Why did you take Emmanuel Sanders?" And I'm like, "Do you know who Andrew Cooper is?"
I think in best balls, the play is stack Davis and Sanders for you pay nothing, and one of them is going to be the third guy with Beasley in the slot. It's free money. So let's agree on that.
Yeah, agreed.
I just did that a few nights ago, actually, on our BallBlast best ball. Yeah, I did that exact thing. I took Allen the end of the third. I was just talking about that, and then I took Allen in the end of the third on the turn, and then I took Davis. I priced out a Cole Beasley. I have Diggs, so works out. But let's get to the running backs here. This Devil's backfield here completely split in half with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. If you have to trust one of these backs in redraft, in fantasy, who's it going to be?
Can you trust any AFC East running back at this point? Let's just throw that out there for the viewers in the beginning. Who are you trusting in the entire AFC? So I'd take Gaskin over everyone. We'll get to that. I'm not trusting either of these guys. This is Moss and Singletary for sure, but Moss and Singletary might both be in that running back dead zone where you're like, this is awesome value. I'm going to take him in the 7th or 8th. And then it's just a disaster. You'll never know when to start them. You'll never know what to do with them. Singletary will be catching a couple balls one week. Moss is going to be in the end zone the other. Josh Allen is running back 1 for the Bills. Mike Trout. Don't invest in either of them.
Yeah, I wrote an article a couple weeks ago that said exactly what you just said, which is that you'll never guess who to start. Last year, you needed to start Singletary to start the season, pivot to Moss, then pivot back to Singletary. Yeah. Then you had to use Singletary for weeks 14 and 15, but then switch to Moss for your championship. Nobody did that correctly if you took those two guys. So I'm just staying away.
Yeah. I just read too that Singletary, even when Moss was injured towards the end of the year, Singletary's carries were going down, which is super interesting. They let Antonio Williams get a shot there in the last, I think it was week 17 or 16. I mean, they got Breida now. They're just going to be committee. I don't trust it.
I love that letting Antonio Williams get those carries that one game, put him all the way at the top of all the efficiency metrics on Pro Football Focus. So it's just throw it. You have to rule him out for
I think he's and if you filter fantasy pros, I think he's 3rd in points per game or something. 4th.
Animal.
It's ridiculous. Played one game.
The best $2,500 you ever spent on DraftKings.
Yeah, you got to get him out of there.
Do you guys feel differently?
No, I'm right there with you.
Feel the same.
Terrified. Josh Allen just makes it even harder. You didn't even have to mention that. He is just a problem for it as well. It's just I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust either. If you have to trust one, I guess maybe Moss, but Devin Singletary, I wouldn't be surprised if the dude got cut. I wouldn't even be surprised if Matt Breida found his way to make that backfield even worse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That'd be terrible.
For 2 games, man, then he'll get injured. But in those 2 games, he'll be the fastest guy in the NFL.
Next to Raheem Mostert. If you're just joining us, this is Lightning Round. We are here with Gary Haddow, Mr. Andrew Cooper, and also from BallBlast and Football Guys, Victoria Geary. Let's get into the Coop's New England Patriots. We have to talk about fantasy options here as much as we don't.
Do we?
I mean, he's wearing the jersey, so we got to give him like.
I was gonna wear this jersey, but then I decided to go with something a little classier.
Beautiful. Okay.
My JP Wassman jersey is in the closet. So.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right next to my Trent Edwards.
Right next to my Nathan Peterman.
Oh
God.
I own all of the Nathan Peterman jerseys in the entire country. Just so you know, I bought them all.
From John Gruden.
Corner the market.
He loves that guy. How does he still have a job, guys? Oh my God.
You bought the lot on eBay from John Gruden. It was like Gruden 69.
He threw just as many touchdown passes as Cam did. Peterman threw most hits to the defense, but both of them threw probably like 8 total, right? I think Cam had 8 exactly. I think Dak Prescott threw more touchdown passes than Cam.
Yeah, you're not even joking. I think he really did.
Legit. I think that might be right.
Somebody tweet that and get like 300 likes. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Games.
So the New England Patriots, are we trusting anybody, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end? Are we trusting any Patriots skill position player in fantasy as a starter? Like putting them in your lineup week 1?
You're the guest. You're the guest, Victoria.
Oh, come on.
All right, I'll go first and say we'd have to define the word trust here, but I would say no. You could trust. You can trust James White to catch some passes because they've essentially used the 2-back system for real though. They've used the 2-back system for 20 years.
Was it the Hufflepuff Gryffindor?
That's right. The modified Perkins system of Charlie Weiss. And there's never been a back since Curtis Martin and the rookie that tore his knee up, Robert Edwards, back in the 90s. Under
volleyball.
Yeah, to have 200 carries and 35 plus catches. So if you're a 0 RB guy, like some of us might be, then maybe James White late, he's going to catch balls. Beyond that, I don't mind playing the guessing game between Hunter Henry and Jonnu. I guess Hunter, but it's no one can truly be trusted. I guess if you give Aguilar that money, he'll be out there, but you can't trust him to get the ball. So I don't know. It's tough.
You'd rather take James White over Harris as a dart throw?
I personally would, because I've seen what that offense is. So look at a guy like LeGarrette Blount. He scored 18 touchdowns in 2016 in that offense, but he only had 7 catches, right? And he didn't score 18 touchdowns on his own. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, so the touchdowns just kind of came to him. You look at Damian Harris. How many passes did he catch last year? 5? He played the whole year. Sony Michel, the most he's ever caught last year. Sony Michel actually caught more passes last year because James White was out. I think he caught 12, which is his career high. They don't want to. The offense is meant to be deceptive, right? They want you to think run when the running guy's in, so they can pull your pants down with play action. They want you to think pass when James White's out there, so they can give you a draw play, or a screen. So I only play PPR formats. I guess if you're a big standard person, then maybe go heavy Damian Harris, but the ceiling is the floor for a guy like that. It's going to catch 10 passes.
People are playing standard? Show yourself in the comments if you're playing standard fantasy.
My 15-year league just moved up to half point.
I'm still stuck on pull your pants down and play action. I'm sorry.
That's what they want to do, though. They want you to guess wrong. Some teams want to be balanced, like the Chiefs or the Bears. They want one guy that does everything. The Pats are the opposite. They want to trick you. It's based on deception. So, maybe the biggest deception would be throwing the ball to Damian Harris a million times this year. No one would see it coming,
Genius. No, you bring up such a good point, though. Go ahead, Gary. I apologize.
No, you're good. I just have one guy that I know that I'm going to own on a lot of teams, and that's going to be Jacoby Myers. I just feel like he's the only person that came from last year. Cam maybe if it was only in a few games, but he did target him, enough. 81 targets, 59 receptions, 700 yards. Like, he's somebody that could actually magically somehow get close to 1,000. I don't really trust. I love Kendrick Bourne to death, man, but he's just he's literally a third down player, and that's it. I don't. The problem with Jacoby is, like, what touchdowns is he going to get? He's just going to be a between the 20s guy. But given that he's going wide receiver 81, there's far worse guys that you could go. Like in a deep roster, like a Scott Fishbowl, like Jacoby Myers is definitely somebody I'm going to be going after way, way down into the draft.
I like Aguilar as a dart throw, but Coop already just brought up the Pats have always spread the ball around so much. That's kind of what scares me about taking a shot on Jonnu or Hunter Henry. Though those guys should lead their team in targets, I assume, but there's too many question marks there, like we've already hit on.
Yeah, like Aguilar, I'll totally take a shot on just because I think he's actually stepped his game up, and he's not just that guy that was dropping every other pass in Philadelphia. That stint last year in Las Vegas kind of opened eyes to, maybe he's actually made tangible, real improvement as a football player. So, he got money from the Patriots. Bill Belichick doesn't normally spend in free agency, but he decided to go supermarket sweep and, grab all the inflatable Jonnu Smiths and Hunter Henry out Nelson Aguilar's and Kendrick Bourne's and, stuff him in his cart. But, I don't mind Jacoby Myers. He had that 3-game stretch where he was like the Whopper King with Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin, and famously, on Twitter, buy Jacoby Myers, league winner. And then he was, he turned into a pumpkin. So, I do like Jonnu Smith probably as the guy over Hunter Henry, though it's probably apples and oranges at that point. But if I don't know if there's one guy that I'm, putting into my lineup and being like, okay, he's a starter, he's in. If Mac Jones steps in, mid-season, then you're probably, those guys are going to be trending up a little bit, as far as targets, as far as, things you could project from them versus Cam Newton. But I don't know if, that's really going to happen before, week 12, where it won't really matter that much at that point.
Guys, can Mac Jones start in week 4 when the Pats play the Bucs? They go play Tom Brady. Please, I want to see that so badly. Please.
Can you imagine? That would be ridiculous, dude.
It'd be epic.
Old pork chop McCorkle out there versus the greatest quarterback all time. Yeah, man.
McCorkle.
I'm ready. I can't believe the quarterback of my team's name is McCorkle. That's like, if you told me that a few years ago, I mean, oh my God. So we'll see. I think that the Patriots are going to run the single most boring offense that anyone's ever seen in fantasy football. They built it to just.
Have you watched the Jets? Please, dear Lord, have you watched the Jets?
At least they have now. At least
we'll get to the Jets
players.
Later.
Yeah,
I'm high.
Yeah, like. Give me Elijah Moore, just highlights, man. I'm all in on that.
The Patriots were already running the fewest offensive plays any team, and then the team we just built is like the fantasy equivalent of a minivan. It's like all tight ends and fullbacks and like
it's a Ford Windstar.
Quarterbacks with dead arms, fat quarterbacks from Alabama. Like, I don't even know what is going on, man. I'm just trying to embrace it. You know what I mean? It's like paying slot guys. Well, we have Jacoby Myers. We pay 49ers Jacoby Myers all this money. I don't know, man. It's scary. So, but go Pats.
Yeah, go Pats. I think we pretty much run the gamut on all of the Patriots. We talked about all of them. So, Geary,
I'm gonna have Ramondre Stevenson on as many rosters as possible.
No,
I don't care. Like, I'm happy just to see what happens. He's totally cuttable. He's totally free in drafts. There's no reason not to.
That'd be perfect, dude. Just a big, clunky mom to drive that minivan.
Put him and Cam and like just have them both hold the ball and run into the end zone.
They'll each get 3.5 yards every carry. Yep. Just get that first yard by like half an inch until the game's over. Win the game like 6-0, 6-2.
I think the LeGarrette Blount comps are like terrible because Blount was with Brady, 18 touchdowns, whatever it was. But Stevenson's the type of guy that if you might have to plug and play, and you're glad that you have him on your roster when they play a soft run defense. I'm totally happy to have it. And again, might be cutting him week 2, week 3 when nothing happens, and he's not even active on week 1, and he's like my first player cut. But I don't care. I'm happy to see what happens, especially if it's Mac Jones, because then they need a big bruiser to run.
They should have a good line. I mean, brought Trent Brown back. He's the biggest dude in the division. David Andrews the biggest piece, right? Like getting him back. So we'll see.
I appreciate you coming around to my idea.
I'm back. I'm on board. Everybody draft Ramondre Stevenson.
Gary, in this impromptu spelling bee, your word is Ramondre.
RHAMONDRE.
You're a degenerate. All right. We're going to get to the Miami Dolphins here. You are watching Lightning Round. I am Kevin Tompkins, Mr. Gary Haddow, Mr. Andrew Cooper, of course, from Football Guys, and BallBlast, Ms. Victoria. Gary, let's get over to the Miami Dolphins. Victoria, do you see Tua Tagovailoa making that next step towards fantasy relevancy in 2021?
I do. Everyone is very down on him. His value is very suppressed. It's very, very low ADP. So there's just so much recency bias, right? I love to make fun of Troy and any other Dolphins fans. And like, did you see Week 17? Now that was funny. Couldn't even beat the Bills' second and third stringers. But that's just recency bias, right? This guy, Tua, had no preseason. No on-field rookie camp. He didn't start the season as their starter. He was pulled multiple times for Fitzpatrick. Played with 3 rookies on the O-line. Didn't have a consistent number 1 running back. His wide receiver core was awful. It was not an imperfect season. And, franchises, they're on a short leash nowadays, so everybody wants to see their quarterback perform right out of the gate. We got to give this kid another chance. I think I'm honestly a little bit scared to see Fuller and Waddle, those speedsters on the outside. That'll be fun if Tua can get the ball there, I guess. But they have playmakers now. And they believe in Gaskin, clearly. They did draft Dokes in the last round, but Gaskin's the guy. They didn't invest any higher than that. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Tua.
Yeah, I like what you said there, especially about like the short offseason stuff. Everyone's giving him a hard time about him not knowing, him saying he didn't know the playbook, including me. I sent a meme out earlier making fun of him, but still, like he didn't. Well, obviously, I'm gonna make fun of him, but he you don't say that you didn't understand the playbook unless you're now understanding it. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't come out there and say that unless you say, "Hey, I didn't know the playbook." But now that I have all this time, all this under me, now I do know what's going on. And I think that's, like you were saying, having that time in the system and getting to learn all that is going to be big for him. So I'm on Tua this year too.
Don't the Dolphins have a new offensive coordinator?
They have 2 of them now. I think it's like Stootsville and I forget the other guy, but Gailey's gone.
So
but he implied
he learned the offense, but now.
But it's the same lingo. It's the same lingo. So it's like it's like for instance, Patricia made them switch from the Air Coryell to the Erhard Perkins system, and that's just totally different language entirely. I think Brian Flores basically said, okay, this is the play calling system, and everyone's got to kind of conform to that. But you're right, it isn't going to be the same as Changeli. Rest in peace, Mike Gesicki.
I feel like they built a Ferrari of an offense and didn't put that strong of an engine in it with Gaskin, who we all like, but it's still Gaskin. And then they got a kid who just got his driving permit, and we're like, go take it for a spin, buddy. Like, really let it loose.
Yeah, it could be ugly, but I mean, they're still just coming out of the rebuild, so you gotta try, and then next year they can get all those ancillary pieces if they need to. But I think they're, Vegas has them winning 9, 10, something like that.
The team's awesome. Their defense. Brian Flores is one of my favorite coaches already. Yeah. I love him. What he's done has been amazing. Yeah,
he's done a great job. And the AFC East used to be a laughingstock. It used to just be the Pats dominating, and now all these teams are up and coming. I'm excited to see the competition this year.
Those are the days. Those are the good old days.
Were they? I cried a lot of those good old days for my last 20 years of my life. So we won't talk about that.
Butt fumbles and Mika Grimes. Like now, nothing's even coming out. Like what I love about Flores is that you don't hear anything like you used to. Like you used to, everything would leak out of that team, and all the drama and everything. Like Flores kind of shut that down, which It makes fantasy football harder when you don't know what they're going to do. But, it's good for them.
To say we have a vision, we're going to tank and people aren't going to leave and people want to go there. Like it's so sick. I just, the Jones and Howard, like as their DBs is just awesome.
They did it so well that the Lions are doing the exact thing.
Yeah, and it's what the Bills did before. They're instilling that, culture with Sean McDermott coming in. They were just a revolving door of coaches and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, and now, Flores is in. The only thing, we saw him take Tua out for Fitzpatrick and kind of switch that up. When you have two quarterbacks, you have none. That's like the Steve Spurrier mantra there. But I just don't know about Tua. In redraft, he probably represents the last, with Daniel Jones, the last couple of, rushing quarterback upside, late in drafts. So, for that, he should probably get drafted in the majority of leagues. He has no excuse now because he has all these guys. They took Jalen Waddle 6th overall to add to Devontae Parker, to add to Will Fuller, Mike Gesicki. They didn't make a move at running back right now, with any capital. So right now it is Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed fitting in there. So, right now Tua has those pieces around him, and Coop, like you said, he wouldn't say that if he had a grasp on that, on everything now. So, Tua, I'm fine with taking as my QB2, but, I think there's just high variance in what he can do versus he can either bottom out and maybe Miami looks to draft a guy next year. As we've seen, it's a lot shorter. There's not a lot of patience anymore with quarterbacks. Case in point, Josh Rosen. So, we'll see what happens, but Tua, it represents a good value where he's being drafted at that QB 20 spot.
I don't know how you say Tua as your QB2 without saying Tua.
QB2.
I had to say it for you.
He's going QB 20. Is that for real? In
that range though, mix and match all like Daniel Jones and Roethlisberger and guys like that. So.
I'll definitely grab him. Yeah, 20 for sure. I thought he was going higher than that. Yeah.
No, I'd take him over those guys easily. And the Dolphins have, I think, the fifth easiest strength of schedule? They're
It's good to know.
They're in for a good season for sure.
Yeah. How do you guys rank the wide receivers? I been bugging me all off season. I have no idea what to do with them. Will Fuller was my boy last year, and obviously it kind of worked out. Kind of. Dora, how would you rank those three? It did. That was awesome.
I like Fuller. I just worry that we saw him obviously be a wide receiver one, but that was he got the workload, he got the touchdowns, all that. But that was with Deshaun Watson. So I worry that this will be another offense that really spreads the ball around, and it's so where all these guys are going are kind of similar in a similar range. So I wouldn't say Waddle's the number one out of the gate. I did talk to Troy about this, my Dolphins fan, but are we writing off Devontae Parker too early? To me, I'm thinking I don't think he's dead necessarily, but I can see Fuller taking that number one role for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for information on it. I can't really find it on who is going to be in the slot, because what I'm interested in is when, because you got all these tight ends that they have. They even brought in a fullback, Ethan Carter, fullback / tight end hybrid type thing. So you're going to have situations where they go 2 wide receiver sets. So I think that's going to be the difference maker, is that when they say, okay, 2 guys out there, who is it? You look at the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb played 94% of his snaps in the slot, only 64% on the field though. When he becomes one of those 2 wide receivers, it's going to be to the moon, So I think it might be something where we have to wait till the beginning of the season and then we see, Waddle's coming out on 2 wide receiver sets. And that's going to be the difference maker. But if he's out there for 2 wide receiver sets, I want him over the rest of them, because it's just the explosive upside.
Yeah, I think, we saw Will Fuller expand his route tree and work in more intermediate routes last year, with Houston. But, I don't think Devontae Parker is dead in the water, though. I think maybe on life support, and it all's going to depend on the development of Jalen Waddle too. And Coop's point, that was the main, between those three, who's coming off the field. Beginning of the season, it's probably Waddle. So right now you're looking at Waddle will probably be in week 1. Who knows? Waddle's going to have like 3 touchdowns in week 1 when Fuller's out, and then you can't keep him off the field. So
good point.
He grabs his hamstring every play. Like he'll be scoring a touchdown and he'll grab his hamstring like on the 10-yard line, and then he'll just go down and dunk it through the field goal post and be fine. But I feel like he's just conditioned to reach down and grab his leg every play. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, it's like when I bump my arm into a door. It doesn't hurt, but I say ow. That's Will Fuller.
Every play he's like, is my hamstring still on? All right, we're good. Let's get back in the huddle.
Let's rock and roll.
Yeah. So, let's talk about, because we talked about Mike Gesicki, RIP Mike Gesicki. Is it really RIP? I mean, does he keep any of his previous upside, or do these wide receivers, in this offense squeeze out any value that he had left?
I'm seeing him ranked really freaking high in a lot of people's rankings, and I don't know why. This offense is going to spread that ball around. And there are weeks where he had nothing. There are weeks he had kind of something. I don't understand that. And people probably just looking at his finish as tight end 7, but he didn't really do much for you last year. I never knew when to start him on the rosters that I had him on. He would go off, and then I'd be like, okay, I'll start him this week, and he'd get nothing. I just don't trust it. I
think that's exactly it. I think last year they were coaching to their personnel. They went out and got Gailey, who's the big slot guy, like, Tony Gonzalez, Eric Decker. They were all great under Gailey playing that big slot role. And that's when Gesicki, did what he did. But now that you see what they're doing, we're paying Adam Shaheen, drafting Hunter Long, I think they're ready to move away from Gesicki. So even though he was my boy last year, I'm off him this year. I'll let somebody else do that, because I just don't see him a path to getting like 70% of the snaps when he didn't even do it last year.
Yeah, I mean, the way you described Victoria, that does not sound like, it sounds like a tight end 2, and that's somebody that I'm not going to be on. That's going to be hanging it once he gets that one catch for 5 yards on 3 targets, and week 2 he's off. He's going to be off rosters. Yeah. I mean, but then he'll have that blow up game. He'll be on and off waivers all year. He'll be that tight end who you got to roster him, or but nobody wants to. So just in that offense, I don't trust it. With Gailey heading off into the sunset, there goes Mike Gesicki's value.
No question. Random Thursday, he makes like a nasty one-handed catch, and everyone adds him, and then he goes right back down the disappointing train. So
I love that you said Thursday. So that's like, I just cringed a little. I hate Thursday games.
Yeah, it's like it's a yucky game, but everyone's watching it. So it's like there's nothing else on. So when he makes that catch, and it's like everyone's like, yep. Little do they know.
Little do they know. And let's round out with Myles Gaskin. I mean, with these new offensive coordinators, is he a set and forget RB2 at this point? Is he a value guy? Like, how do you kind of peg him?
I'm about to see where he's going. I just looked this up earlier, though. He finished as PPR running back 28th, but he was, I think, 11th overall in points per game, getting around 16 points per game. And I think he only played in 10 games because of those injuries. But I mean, he was good, and he's a good pass catcher. And PPR, I'm willing to definitely take a shot. I'm trying to look at the ADP here. It looks like he's going in the middle to the end of the 4th round, behind guys like Mostert, Kareem Hunt. I mean, it's not quite the dead zone yet, and I think he's very usable still for that kind of value. So I'd take him as my RB2.
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. I don't see. I mean, you guys
just
talked about the offensive line.
Gary's got I feel like you have a stronger Myles Gaskin take than I do. What are your thoughts on Gaskin?
No, I mean, he's just somebody that I'm mad that I missed out on. And I feel like I'm going to go after him as buyer's remorse, and yet I don't have him in a single league so far, in a single best ball. I think the unfortunate thing is that, because Mostert's right there, I gravitate to my homerness, and I want to take him, or Javonte Williams, is somebody that I'm just the upside. But I mean, if we're saying that offense is going to be able to stretch the field a little bit, in theory, that they had the 3 rookie O-line, there's a world where if he gets to have all 16, like he's a locked and loaded top 16, top 18 running back. And if he's going right now, he's running back 27 on best ball 10. Like that's good. That's good value return.
I'll tell you what my exact strategy is for Myles Gaskin is I look at the draft board in every best ball, and there's Myles Gaskin and there's Mike Davis, and they're both there. And I say to myself, I'll get whichever one's there when it comes back to me, and then I don't get either of them. So I got to hammer that strategy out. I don't even know who would you take out of those two, Kev, you think?
Between him and who? Mike Davis?
Mike Davis, yeah.
Probably Mike Davis just for the offensive upside. Just the strength of that offense. Here's the thing about Myles Gaskin. And, do we know that they're going to run the same system as last year? Where last year, when they had one guy, they ran him into the ground. They didn't really have that second back that they worked in. Now, with Changeli gone, are they going to be doing the same thing? Is Salvin Ahmed going to work in more? And now you've got Malcolm Brown in there too. So there's some ambiguity there in that backfield, and it's really not Myles Gaskin's fault. Everything happened in his favor from the draft. Like I said, they did not bring anybody in. So it all depends. It's going to be a wait and see thing. You're going to draft him in the fourth, maybe in the beginning of the fifth round and kind of be on pins and needles. Are they going to use him the same way they used him last year? He's in a range where don't really get to take him that often. So I don't have a lot of exposure to him, but if you see that they're going to use him the same and give him, 18 to 20 opportunities each game, then he's going to have smash his ADP. But that's the other side of that too, is are they going to use him the same?
Yeah. Does Malcolm Brown have the weirdest usage of any running back there's ever been? It's like, we're going to use this guy on third downs and then just goal line and just all those plays that you want the other guy to get. Like
he's this decade's Mike Tolbert.
Right. It's ridiculous, man. It's like, and so that's how the Rams used him. And then I'm pretty sure there's comments from Flores being like, we'll probably use them in like passing situations and like, like goal line. And it's just like, dude, why? Just use them every down or don't use them at all. Like there should be a rule that we'll call it the 2002 running back rule, where you just use one running back until he's hurt and then use the backup every down. Can we do that? Can we go back to that?
Yeah, the year like in 2006 where there were 17 running backs. I just looked this up for doing zero RB stuff. 17 running backs with over 275 carries. Last year, 3. So I mean, it's Perfect. Just the way the cookie crumbles with the NFL right now. But
it's changing.
So times they are changing. Absolutely. You are tuned into Lightning Round. I am Kevin Tompkins, along with, of course, Gary Haddow, Andrew Cooper, our guest from BallBlast and Football Guys, Victoria Geary. We will round out the festivities here in the AFC East with, as they said in Big Daddy, the goddamn Jets. So Zach Wilson, from men's warehouse to, from the boys department now into the men's department. Is he any more than a bye week guy in fantasy right now?
I wouldn't quite say he's a man just yet based off of his face, but that's
he wants to be.
Nah, I'm just messing. Goodness. I don't even know if I would take him as a late round flyer at this point. Maybe, but I'm just not excited. I'm not excited for him. There's so many new pieces to the entire Jets organization that I'm like, are they going to put it together really this year? Am I just going to be hoping he gets garbage time throws and points? I don't know. I don't trust him. But I am of the camp that a lot of people are coming around on him. So can you all convince me?
I'm like, so in Dynasty, I do like him. Like if you're in a Dynasty league, I think he's a safe pick because my philosophy on quarterbacks is so many people want to run out to best case scenario and just take the guy who's going to run when it's like 30% of quarterbacks, even first round quarterbacks, end up succeeding at all. So I'm just trying to pick the guys that are going to be long-term quarterbacks. And I think Wilson could be one of those, but I'm with you for this season, Victoria. No way. Like I'm not touching that at all. They're going to be figuring stuff out. Like it's going to be, just general growing pains. It's probably pseudo tryouts, honestly, to see who's going to be with the team or not moving forward. So I'm not super interested. I don't know. What do you think, Gary?
I like Zach Wilson more than Tua. maybe that's a super bold take. I don't mean that as a compliment. I don't mean it as a compliment by any means. I think that Zach Wilson, I think he'll be able to move. He'll be able to run that offense. I think that he'll be worse than the sum of his parts. Like, I just see that he's always going to be a back end QB2. I don't think he's going to be that much, but more, we like Denzel Mims cooling a tiny bit on him, I guess. I like Jamison Crowder. I think we all like Corey Davis. There's nothing to not like about him. If he can be more consistent. And then, who knows with Chris Herndon. I think that we're looking at number one, I love what they're doing with their line. They're rebuilding that way. Like, that's fantastic to me. Michael Carter will be a nice outlet for him. So I think in 2 years, I'm excited to see, I'm hoping that I'm wrong. That's also in Robert Saleh, I trust. I hate Adam Gase, and so I want to see the Jets franchise do well because I think everybody in the NFL collectively just doesn't like them just because they're the Jets, and it would be fun to see them being successful.
Would it be?
No. we'll mute.
I get that you guys are like AFC East. I get it.
We'll mute down here for a little bit.
But it's they're just the kindergartner that's always picked on just because they're stuck in kindergarten. Like, at some point.
Yeah, that exasperated sigh is pretty much my entire disposition on the New York Jets at this point. How much are they really going to ask him to do? The only thing, he's starting week 1. So, he's going to be out there. He's going to be getting his lumps and, they're going to be learning a new system. Mike LaFleur is there. That's basically going to be the Shanahan offense where they're going to rotate in about 9,000 running backs. He's not going to do a lot, West Coast principles, stuff like that. So now, Jamison Crowder took a pay cut for whatever reason to be on that team. Don't understand it. Elijah Moore, truthers, that was not your day the other day when that news broke. But it's Coop, you're exactly right. It's going to be a glorified tryout to see, what they can use in the future. They've stocked their line pretty well. They've got building blocks. So at least, building the lines, they're doing that. They're adding pieces to the defense. But yeah, offensively for fantasy, you're not enthused about rostering Corey. You're not like, I got Corey Davis. What up? You're not. The only guy you're really doing that for was Elijah Moore pre-Tuesday, and now, so
right. Even with the line, they just the guy Elijah Vera Tucker. They're just we'll just take linemen and we'll figure out where he plays later. It's they didn't even plan for that, and and they're switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3 defense. So that defense is going to be a mess too. So they might have to throw a lot. But we'll see. You're saying something, Geary?
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just overly optimistic as I always am, but it's not going to turn out this way. So don't hear what I'm not saying. But last year, I was I can see the upswing for the Bengals. I can see the upswing for the Dolphins, and I can see the upswing for the Jets. I feel like what they're done with their offensive line with getting Mekhi Becton and getting Vera Tucker as foundational pieces is what the Bills have done over the last 2 years. They bring in a ton of vets, except for they also have now these young core pieces on their offensive line. So I'm just excited to see what they do. And they're going to be a high pick next year, right? I really do think that they'll be a high pick. Again,
probably top 10 at least.
Yeah. And, that means they're probably going to get a legit running back, get another whatever piece. But you talked about their defense. I don't want to go on this for too long, but Carl Lawson, they still have CJ Mosley. They have pieces at each level to build on. But I'll take this back to fantasy and say, I like Elijah Moore.
Who doesn't?
I know. He's just fun.
He's fine.
He's going to be good. He definitely is. And Crowder, if he pulls his hammy, it's more season. You know what I'm saying? But I like Corey Davis at his value. I'm not crazy about any Jets, but I do love Corey Davis at his value. He had good target share in Tennessee last year. He stepped up finally. I know he's not been he hasn't really gotten to his draft capital, right? But he stepped up last year. I could see him being the one in New York there.
Yeah, they paid him a lot of money, and you have to have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? So you got Chris Herndon on one side. You got to have somebody that can put their foot on the line and and beat the jam. And so I think Corey Davis is a good blocker. So I think you're right. That Corey Davis is the one guy who's going to be out there a ton. If Brashad Perriman was out there for 99% of the snaps or whatever it was last year, I think Corey Davis in line for a lot of snaps playing that position, except for an actual NFL wide receiver. So I'm there with you on Corey. Yeah, sorry, Brashad, if you're listening.
I would venture to say he's probably not, but this sentiment is there. Yeah, Corey Davis isn't too bad, but I'm really so the other 3 receivers. I mean, we know Jameson Crowder, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore now with this Crowder news. So take Corey Davis out of the equation. Those 3, I mean, who are you kind of banking? Is there anybody you're banking on? Is there anybody you like over the other? Is maybe a guy you're at least keeping a watch list? I mean,
now that Roto Heat's in here, I'm scared to anger the gift king, so I'll say that I like Jameson Crowder. Yeah. please don't hurt me.
I like Moore. I think he'll toward the second half of the season, or potentially, I don't know when their bye week is. I assume it's in the middle, but maybe after their bye week, he gets more play. I think Crowder's people are mad Crowder resigned, but I think he's good for Moore. I think he's good. He's good, a good vet presence for him. So I think if I had to bet on one, it'd be Moore, but I'm not excited. I'm not excited about these guys.
I'm so excited for week 7 when Keelan Cole's like a top wide receiver.
Keelan Cole. Okay, wait. We haven't hit on the Mims hate because
Right.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm off Mims." Keelan Cole's running with the ones or whatever. Who actually cares because it's the Jets? But we're talking about it, right?
That's the take and the video.
yeah,
And we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. It's been fun. Good night.
No. Tell us about the Jets.
Well, we haven't hit on Mims. I mean, where are you guys at with Mims?
The news today was like, Corey Davis isn't playing, and the only other dude that's 6'3" on the team is not out there on the field. That's
not a good sign.
Concerning. Yeah, and Keelan Cole played over 400 snaps in the slot and only like 200 out wide. He played more slot than Jamison Crowder did last year. So it's like they got 3 slot wide receivers. I'm wondering if the Mims being a cast out could be the door to Elijah Moore playing flanker, which would be the real deal for him. And I'm not even that big of an Elijah Moore guy, but if it's Jameson Crowder in the slot and Elijah Moore playing flanker, now we're into that 2 wide receiver set type deal where it's like it's kind of wheels up.
He gives me Steve Smith vibes. Elijah Moore does.
So it'll just be amazing till he's 35 years old or 37.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. That's what it should have been in Green Bay, but that's a conversation for another time.
That's the real power take. Like, forget those soft takes, like that he's going to be amazing. Say he's going to be amazing till he's 35 years old. That's a screaming take.
Yeah, you're basically saying he's a Hall of Famer then.
Right? Yeah. He's Larry Fitz.
Yeah, or not Julian Edelman. Yeah, let's get off that soapbox. He's not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, he's not. Yeah, I put
the show on like it was really nice. Like everybody liked each other.
I would put Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame before I would put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame, and that's saying something.
If they actually called holding on that stupid helmet catch, then Eli Manning wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Like any one of the 7 holding calls they could have called. So enough Patriots homerism for now. But
yeah, I mean it is AFC East, I guess.
You have enough freaking trophies. All right, relax over there.
We haven't had a parade. We haven't had a parade here in like a year and a half.
You did have a billboard, though, that said the Buffalo Bills are the best fans in the NFL right before you drive near the stadium. I was like,
wow. The funny thing about that sign is that the Buffalo Bills kind of are the best fans.
Thank you so much.
I mean, it's true, though. Like, our fans, like, we're obviously awesome, and most of us are, like, insanely handsome, but the Bills fans, they come in – the Bills fans, they come in, dude. They're like, they're getting drunk. They're having fun. When they lose, they still have fun. And honestly, all my interactions with them have been great. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like mean, like Eagles fans, and like, like they're not going to pour mustard on you or anything like that. So
on the contrary, there's a guy at our tailgate every single game called Pinto Ron, and somebody gets up on an RV and he gets squirted with a full bottle of ketchup and mustard simultaneously every week.
Say that they sacrifice themselves for the mustard to the mustard gods, not some dude in the Tony Romo jersey, after the Eagles get smoked at MetLife. So I like the Bills fans. They're cool as hell. I would love to make it out to the Ralph for a game. You guys still play there, or do you have a new stadium now?
I love that you just called it the Ralph. I still do. The name has changed like 6 times since then, but I won't call it anything else.
You know what the funny thing is, though? It's when I moved out of upstate New York, that's when the Bills started being good. So,
thank
you're
you
welcome.
so much for your sacrifice, Kevin.
Yeah.
I will never be able to repay you.
I got out of Syracuse and moved to North Dakota, so I had to, that set in motion everything with Buffalo. So I'm glad that I was able to spur some change.
Now pour a bottle of ketchup and mustard over your head out of respect.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that. Let's. Okay. We got 2 quick hitters here, and then we'll wrap her up. Can we finally get Chris Herndon season now that the gay stink is off of him?
No, sorry.
She's probably
I tried.
She's probably right. I will say that wherever Gase is gone, even Orange Julius on the Cowboys blocked on 1/4 of his pass. Sorry, not the Cowboys. Orange Julius on the Broncos blocked on 1/4 of his pass snaps. Mike Gesicki blocked on 17%. Then when Gase left, he blocked on 1%. So last year, Herndon blocked on like 1/4 of his pass plays, over 1/4. So and that's 100 routes he could have ran. So he'll probably be running more routes, but I doubt it'll be good. So, but he'll be out there more.
Geary, anything?
I'm excited to see it. God, there's so many guys that I like above it, and if it happens, I'll be happy for it. Like in what leagues do you take Chris Herndon other than like deep tight
in this economy?
Like I don't know.
I mean,
but I think he is like, if you talk about speed dial on the waiver wire, like that guy's speed dial for going into week 2, like week 1, week 2 waivers type thing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the second he puts up a 5 for 56 on 7 targets, he's immediately on everybody's week 2 waiver column.
Yeah, and he almost killed that old man drunk driving. So if he sucks, then I won't feel bad for him at all. So how's that take? Sorry for that.
Wow, this got really.
You guys didn't know
that?
You guys didn't know that story?
No.
Oh yeah, dude. He was drunk driving in the middle of the night, doing like 100 miles an hour in his SUV, hit another dude's car, and he almost killed some like 70-year-old guy. So Chris Herndon,
the 2-game suspension.
2 games for that. Yeah, 2 games. So,
shocker.
What a world.
So Chris Herndon. Yeah, you know what? People make mistakes, so I take it back. I hope you're good at football and you've cleaned up your act.
Almost killed a guy 2 games, but you smoke weed. That's it. You're out of the league. Get out of the league.
Yeah, get that green out of here. Last question. I don't want to talk about it, but the producers they're in my ear saying we have to talk about it. The Jets backfield. Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, Michael P. Ryan. I mean, is this just the East San Francisco 49ers all over again, where you're going to take the cheapest one? Listen.
Whoa.
Gary,
you're the Patriots.
Gary, you were silent for like 43 minutes.
Dolphins.
Dude, Gary, you simultaneously upset Dolphins fans and Jets fans at the same time with your Zach Wilson and Tua.
That entire fucking division has terrible running backs, and you come at me.
I mean,
you just pulled a Matthew Berry there, by the way. That was like Matthew Berry rant-esque right there. You sounded like him too.
I hate Tevin Coleman.
This podcast has been so negative, and it's all Chris Herndon's fault.
Damn it,
if he didn't almost kill a guy.
God damn it, Chris. Yeah,
I will say the Jets backfield can't be the Niners backfield yet because they don't have anyone injured quite yet. So
stylistically,
get him.
Got him.
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, I mean, I'm like this backfield. I'm not even kidding. I'm like spitefully rooting for them all to be bad. And if I want one of them to be good, I hope it's like Ty Johnson.
Dude, I'm in on Ty. I don't know why. He showed flashes last year. They're saying Piran's like not even doing anything in practices. I'm very, very wary about him. Then everyone's like, but it's going to be Tevin Coleman because of his familiarity with the coach. No, it's not. He's going to break his foot or something dumb and like in camp. He's not even going to be starting. I'm all in. Let's do it, Ty. And then I'm going to take Michael Carter. No, don't take.
Michael Carter will be fun on a per touch basis, but he'll
be so fun to watch. Yeah, fantasy is going to be rough. I just feel I don't want to compare him to a Cam Akers, but the hype is getting up there, right? If Carter starts going in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, you might not even be able to use him for the first half of the season while he's getting his feet wet. So I just worry about that, taking him in redraft.
The 5th, 6th, 7th round, like where he got drafted in the real NFL draft. Like once all the teams are done drafting the players that are good.
Very true. Also very mean, but it's okay. I'm just kidding.
Damn it, Chris. I blame Chris Herndon again for that one. I got to be a little nicer. I think
no, it's true though. It's true. The hype is real there. That all the outlets are saying draft Michael Carter. He's gonna be the back.
The mainstream media.
Yeah, everybody wants to be. Yeah, they want to be the one that identifies that like late guy. Like that's why Amon-Ra St. Brown went from like, oh, this is my sleeper to everyone was like, draft him in the early 2nd round of your rookie drafts. And I think that at a certain point, we got to look at it and say, okay, this is a 17th wide receiver taken. Like this was the running back that was taken after like the 49. I mean, I guess maybe he could have got taken because your 49ers knew Saleh wanted a running back and they cut in front of him to take Trey Sermon, but I don't know. It's like they had a lot of opportunities to take him before round 4.
They took Carter in the 4th, and they also took. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see. I like Michael Carter the most out of it. I think that Ty Johnson, check every single dynasty roster. If you have deep, 30 positions, I found him on a ton of rosters, and I'm like, I'll take him at the bottom and see what happens in the first 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Podcast is now sponsored by Ty Johnson.
and we hate ChrisHerndon.com.
Well, we'll allow him to try to redeem himself.
Yeah. I mean, maybe after the show, I will register that domain. We hate ChrisHerndon.com. It will bring us to our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe to Lightning Round on YouTube. Find us on Spotify. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you get that. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let us know where we can find you, what you're doing as far as writing. Floor is yours. Thank you guys so much for having me. I had a blast. You're freaking hilarious. So I just want to put that out there. You can find me at FFB_Victoria. I'm putting out content for BallBlast and Football Guys. My rankings are on Football Guys. I'll be updating those actually tonight. Pretty sure the update's due tomorrow. And putting out an Austin Eckler article for a spotlight for Football Guys pretty soon. So I'm very stoked for that. Awesome. Did you get your division yet for Scott Fishbowl? Yes, Rihanna, the queen. And there's like only 3 other people in it. I don't know why. That's really disrespectful, to be honest, but whatever. You be in your Taylor Swift league and I'll be in Riri. So you have fun with that. I think Ryan McDonald did tweet that. No, I am not. I think Ryan McDowell tweeted that they're going to fill all the divisions tonight by the end of tonight. So. Oh, dope. Okay. Yeah, so check that out. I love Rihanna's remix of that song "Pony" by Genuine. Oh my god, so good. What are you guys in? What division? REM for me. Nice. Bunch of mine just filled up. I'm just looking at it. I'm in Scott Fish. I'm in Smashing Pumpkins. You are in Scott Fish, Geary. Oh, no. Yeah. Winner. He's like, yeah, I got in this year. He won SFB 9. He's like, yeah, I just got it. Had to sweat that one, but yeah, I'm in the notorious BIG division. Oh, no! Kick in the door, waving the 4-4. I'm so excited. This is my first year doing it. So draft Corey Davis and grab DJ Moore. Yeah. Okay, Cole Beasley was definitely better than you. That was off the top of the head. Well, keep it there. Get Beasley on here. And we'll do it. I'll do what I can. I will work. Yeah, I'll work the channels. Call your husband. Yeah, call your husband. Ask your other husband if he can get on. Call your husband. Ask Linda's husband Cole if he's willing to get on. Oh, is it her? Is it her timeshare now? Oh my god! That's all right. Well, That is, yes. We will next week we will be talking AFC North for our good friend Andrew Hall from Pro Football Network. But like I said, check us out on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to us. YouTube.com/lightning round. Find us on Google, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get that. For Andrew Cooper, for Gary Haddow, for Victoria Geary, again, thank you so much for joining us. I am Kevin Tompkins. Have a great night.